Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting journey into the world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we are diving into one of America's most iconic pieces of numismatic history, the Eisenhower dollar, a coin that carries not only the image of a great president, but also stories of rarity, hidden treasures, and astonishing value in today's market. Whether struck in the early 1970s or during the nation's proud bicentennial celebration, these dollars have become legendary among collectors. And if you think they are just ordinary coins, think again, because some of these pieces can fetch thousands of dollars, transforming pocket change into a collector's dream. But if we travel back to 1972, a coin emerges from the San Francisco Mint that carries a mark of prestige, the bold S mint mark. Unlike ordinary circulation strikes, these coins were crafted with care, destined for collectors, and today they stand as one of the most valuable treasures in the Eisenhower dollar series. This powerful coin came to life in an era when America wanted to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a man whose name was carved into the pages of history, both as a victorious general in World War II and as the 34th President of the United States. After his passing in 1969, the nation called for a dollar coin to immortalize him, and by 1971, the Eisenhower dollar was born. But the 1972 Eisenhower dollar with the S mint mark is no ordinary dollar coin. The S, placed delicately on its surface, reveals its origin from the San Francisco Mint, the branch mint famous for striking coins of special quality, including proof and silver-clad issues. That tiny letter S is the mark of prestige and value. This coin was not meant to be just a circulating dollar. The S mint mark coins of 1972 included 40% silver-clad pieces, issued for collectors, and for those who recognized that this was no ordinary release. At a time when most Eisenhower dollars were copper-nickel clad and mass-produced, the silver issues from San Francisco stood apart as treasures with true weight and substance. Collectors knew then, and they know now, that silver Eisenhower dollars are highly prized. The 1972 S. Eisenhower dollar in particular carries a reputation for scarcity in high grades and desirability among serious numismatists. And here is where the story grows even more powerful. In 1972, the Eisenhower dollar design saw several varieties in the Earth depiction on the reverse. But when you hold a San Francisco struck S. Eisenhower dollar, especially a proof or silver version, you are holding one of the highest quality issues of that year. Ladies and gentlemen, when we speak of value, the 1972 S. Eisenhower dollar does not disappoint. In average condition, its silver content alone already places it above face value. But in superb condition, brilliant proofs or high-grade mint state coins, the value climbs into extraordinary figures. Auction records reveal the truth. Collectors have paid astonishing amounts to secure flawless 1972 S. Eisenhower dollars. In gem condition, these coins have reached beyond $2,000, and in the rarest top-graded proof strikes, the numbers have soared even higher. Imagine a coin once sold to collectors for just a few dollars now commanding thousands in today's market. It is not only the silver content that makes it valuable. It is the limited production, the beauty of its strike, and the historic story it tells. Every S. Eisenhower dollar whispers of San Francisco's legacy of minting excellence. So let us be clear. This is not just a piece of metal. This is history preserved in silver. This is a collector's dream, a treasure that stands proudly among the most valuable modern U.S. coins. Think of it this way. While millions of ordinary Eisenhower dollars were produced at Philadelphia and Denver, the San Francisco issues were specially struck, carefully handled, and saved in far fewer numbers. That built-in scarcity ensures demand will always be strong. For the collector, owning a 1972 S. Eisenhower dollar means more than holding silver. It means holding prestige. It means holding a piece of a series that continues to grow in respect and in value. Now picture this moment. You open a box of old coins, and there it is, gleaming under the light with the proud S on its surface. That coin, ladies and gentlemen, could bring you thousands of dollars at auction if in the right condition. The top-end examples, coins graded PR70 Deep Cameo or MS67 and higher, are where fortunes lie. These elite coins, with flawless mirrors and razor-sharp detail, are the very reason collectors are willing to pay over $5,000, and in some cases as much as $10,000. Yes, a single Eisenhower dollar with an S, mint mark, can command prices up to $10,000. This is why the hunt matters. This is why numismatics remains so powerful. The 1972 S. Eisenhower dollar shows us that with the right knowledge, with a sharp eye, and with determination, everyday people can uncover treasures that change lives. Ladies and gentlemen, this coin is not just collectible. It is valuable, it is historical, and it is profitable. It carries weight, literally and figuratively. And the maximum prize it has delivered at auction proves beyond any doubt that it is one of the great modern treasures. So when you hear the words 1972 Eisenhower dollar with S mint mark, do not think ordinary. Think opportunity. Think history. Think thousands of dollars waiting to be discovered. From the proud San Francisco strikes of 1972, we move forward just 2 years to 1974, where the Eisenhower dollar continued to capture America's spirit. But this year's issue carried its own story of rarity and collector demand, making the 1974 dollar a coin that refuses to be overlooked. The Eisenhower dollar series was born in 1971 as a way to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the general who led the Allied forces to victory in World War II and later served as the 34th President of the United States. After his passing in 1969, America wanted a coin that would carry his name into history, and the Eisenhower dollar was the result. By 1974, the design was already well known, featuring Eisenhower's portrait on the obverse and the powerful Apollo 11 moon landing tribute on the reverse, symbolizing America's strength in both leadership and exploration. But among all the mint marks, the no-mint mark Philadelphia issue holds a special place. The absence of a mint mark might look ordinary to the untrained eye, but for collectors, it signals origin. The Philadelphia Mint produced these coins without mint marks, and that subtle distinction makes the 1974 no-mint mark Eisenhower dollar stand as a core collectible of the series. The Philadelphia issues were struck in massive numbers for circulation, but condition is everything. Coins that have survived in pristine mint state condition are not just coins, they are treasures. While worn pieces may look like ordinary money, the true gems are those with luster, detail, and sharp strikes. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where the value rises dramatically. In circulated condition, they may seem common, but in mint condition, especially when graded at the highest levels, these coins transform into something extraordinary. The 1974 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark is highly desirable in MS66, MS67, and above. Few examples exist at these top grades because the coin is large, heavy, and prone to scratches and wear. This rarity in high grade is exactly why collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars for a perfect specimen. Auction records prove the demand. Brilliant, no-mint mark 1974 Eisenhower dollars graded by PCGS or NGC in elite condition have sold for staggering sums. Collectors have paid $3,000, $5,000, and even beyond for flawless examples. The most exceptional coins at the very highest grades have crossed the $10,000 mark. Yes, you heard correctly. A single Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark from 1974, a coin that was once worth just $1, has sold for over $10,000 in today's market. That is the kind of transformation that excites every collector and motivates treasure hunters to look more closely at their coins. This is why the Eisenhower dollar is one of the most fascinating modern coins to collect. The design is bold, the history is inspiring, and the values are real. For those who know what to look for, the rewards are enormous. Ladies and gentlemen, think about the possibility. Somewhere in your collection, or perhaps in a box of coins saved by your parents or grandparents, there could be a 1974 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark in extraordinary condition. If you find one and have it graded, you could be looking at a payday worth thousands of dollars. It is coins like these that remind us why numismatics is not just a hobby. It is a pursuit of treasure. The 1974 no-mintmark Eisenhower dollar connects us to a great leader, a historic era, and the thrill of hidden wealth all at once. When you hold this coin, you are holding more than silver-colored copper and nickel. You are holding a piece of American history and a potential fortune waiting to be unlocked. Collectors around the world continue to seek this coin, and demand shows no sign of slowing down. As high-grade examples become harder to find, the prices will only continue to rise. That means today is the perfect time to search, to examine, and to discover your own hidden treasure. Do not underestimate the power of this coin. The 1974 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark has already proven itself to be valuable, and with every passing year, its importance in numismatics grows stronger. The story of this coin is a story of opportunity. A coin struck in Philadelphia 50 years ago can now deliver life-changing amounts of money to those who recognize its value. So, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you look closer, search deeper, and never dismiss a heavy Eisenhower dollar. Because if it is a 1974 with no mint mark in superb condition, you could be holding a prize worth thousands, even up to $10,000. This is not just currency. This is history. This is treasure. And this is your chance to discover wealth hidden in plain sight. The 1974 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark proves once again that great fortunes do not always come from gold or jewels. Sometimes, they come from a single dollar coin that carries the story of a nation and the value of a collector's dream. As the story of 1974 fades, we fast forward to 1978, the final chapter of the Eisenhower dollar series. This last release marked the end of an era, and with no mint mark, the 1978 issue became more than just a coin. It became a closing legacy, a farewell piece now sought after by determined collectors. The Eisenhower dollar was first minted in 1971 as a tribute to General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the victorious commander of World War II and the 34th President of the United States. For nearly a decade, this bold dollar coin honored his legacy, and the 1978 issue stands as the very last year of this historic series. Unlike its silver-proof cousins from San Francisco or the Denver issues with their clear D mint mark, the Philadelphia strikes of 1978 bear no mint mark at all. That missing symbol is what tells collectors they are looking at a Philadelphia issue. And in this final year of the Eisenhower dollar, it is a detail that matters greatly. The coin itself is impressive, with a large portrait of Eisenhower on the obverse and the Apollo 11 eagle landing on the moon on the reverse. It carries both the spirit of a president and the triumph of space exploration. Every collector who holds a 1978 no-mint-mark Eisenhower dollar is holding a story that combines history, honor, and American pride. But beyond its history, the 1978 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark is valuable. It was produced for circulation, yes, but surviving examples in pristine condition are far rarer than most imagine. Coins this large, struck in copper-nickel clad, often picked up scratches, nicks, and blemishes. To find one untouched with booming luster and sharp strike is like discovering treasure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where fortune reveals itself. A worn 1978 dollar may be passed around for face value, but a no-mint mark coin in mint state condition is a completely different story. Collectors know how difficult it is to find perfect examples, and they are willing to pay thousands of dollars to secure one. Grading is the key. The highest graded no-mintmark 1978 Eisenhower dollars, those certified by PCGS or NGC as MS-66, MS-67 or higher, are breathtakingly rare. These are the coins that command serious respect and serious money. Auction records prove the demand. While average coins may change hands modestly, the top specimens have stunned the numismatic world. In high mint state, the 1978 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark has sold for $3,000, $5,000, and even more. The very finest examples with flawless preservation have reached incredible heights, upwards of $10,000 at auction. Yes, you heard correctly. A single Eisenhower dollar, struck in 1978 without a mint mark, has the power to turn a $1 piece into a $10,000 prize. That is the kind of transformation that captures the imagination of every coin hunter and collector. And do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that 1978 was the last year the Eisenhower dollar was struck. After this, the United States replaced it with the smaller Susan B. Anthony dollar in 1979. That makes the 1978 issue not just valuable, but historically significant, the closing chapter of the last large U.S. dollar coin. When you hold one in your hand, you are holding the end of an American coinage tradition. The no-mint mark Philadelphia issue is the symbol of that ending, and it is one reason collectors will always pay top dollar for the best preserved examples. Imagine finding one in your collection, resting in a forgotten drawer or coin jar, untouched for decades. That one coin could be your bridge from ordinary pocket change to extraordinary wealth. Collectors today are still hunting, still searching, because they know the reward is real. Every time a gem 1978 no-mintmark Eisenhower dollar appears at auction, competition is fierce and prices soar higher. So let us be clear. The 1978 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark is not just a collectible, it is a treasure, a coin that transforms the story of a nation into tangible wealth for those fortunate enough to find it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your motivation. Look through your coins, search your family collections, and examine every Eisenhower dollar you encounter. If you discover a pristine 1978 with no mint mark, you may be holding a payday worth thousands of dollars. The highest examples have already proven themselves, crossing the $10,000 threshold. And as time goes on, the rarity of high-grade survivors will only increase, driving demand and prices even higher. This is why the Eisenhower dollar matters. It represents opportunity, it represents history, and above all, it represents value. Do not let this coin slip through your hands unnoticed. The 1978 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark is the final treasure of the Eisenhower series, and it is ready to reward those who recognize its power. Treasure is not always buried. Sometimes it rests in a single dollar coin, heavy and shining, waiting for the right person to realize its worth. That person could be you. And as we leave behind the final regular issue of 1978, we step into a moment unlike any other, the nation's 200th birthday. In 1976, the United States Mint created a coin that was more than money, more than silver, more than history. It was a national celebration struck in metal. The Bicentennial Eisenhower dollar, with its dual date 1776-1976, stands today as the crown jewel of the series, and perhaps the most valuable of them all. In the mid-1970s, the United States prepared to honor the 200th anniversary of independence. The Mint wanted a coin that captured the pride of the nation, and so the Eisenhower dollar was chosen to receive a special bicentennial design. Struck in 1975 and 1976, every Eisenhower dollar carried the dual date 1776-1976, symbolizing the journey from the founding of the nation to its 200-year milestone. On the obverse, President Dwight D. Eisenhower's bold profile remained, a reminder of leadership and strength. But the reverse was transformed. Instead of the Apollo 11 eagle, the Mint unveiled a dramatic image of the Liberty Bell superimposed against the moon, a design by Dennis R. Williams that perfectly captured both America's history and its future. Now, the Philadelphia Mint struck these coins without a mint mark. That simple fact, the missing D or S, is what makes the 1776-1976 Bicentennial Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark stand apart. For collectors, the no mint mark issue from Philadelphia is the foundation of the series, and in pristine condition, it is a treasure worth far more than its face value. These coins were issued in enormous numbers for circulation, but as any serious numismatist knows, quantity does not erase value. Condition, rarity in preservation, and historical importance combine to make the finest examples highly valuable. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where the story becomes exciting. The Bicentennial Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark may look common, but in top-graded condition, it is far from ordinary. Collectors pay thousands of dollars for coins that survive with booming luster, sharp detail, and not a single mark to distract from their beauty. The challenge is finding one. Large copper-nickel-clad coins like the Eisenhower were prone to scratches, wear, and bag marks. Most circulated examples show their age, but a pristine no-mint mark bicentennial dollar, that is a prize worth hunting. Auction results prove this truth beyond doubt. At the highest certified levels, such as MS-66 and MS-67, the 1776-1976 no-mint-mark Eisenhower dollar has achieved incredible prices. Collectors have paid $3,000, $5,000, and even more for these flawless examples. And in the rarest cases, the best of the best have sold for nearly $10,000. Yes, you heard correctly. A single Eisenhower dollar struck for America's bicentennial, with no mint mark, has transformed from pocket change into a $10,000 treasure. That is why collectors across the country are still searching, still grabbing, still competing for these remarkable coins. But beyond the money, let us not forget the meaning. This coin is the symbol of a nation's birthday, a celebration of freedom, liberty, and achievement. To own a bicentennial Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark is to hold a piece of the American spirit in your hands. The dual date, 1776-1976, tells a story of 2 centuries, and the Liberty Bell over the moon tells a story of human progress. This is why the coin remains a centerpiece in collections, and why collectors will pay extraordinary amounts for the finest examples. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, opening a drawer or a box of old coins and discovering a gleaming bicentennial Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark, untouched since the 1970s. That discovery could mean a fortune. That coin could change everything. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions, but only a tiny fraction remain in pristine gem condition. That rarity is what drives value, and that rarity is why prices continue to rise. This is not just a coin. It is a treasure chest hidden in plain sight, a treasure that rewards those who look carefully, those who learn, and those who believe in the power of numismatics. The 1776-1976 Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark will always stand as one of the great modern American coins. It has history, it has beauty, and most importantly, it has value. Ladies and gentlemen, let this be your motivation. Search your coins, check your family collections, and never overlook a bicentennial dollar. Because if it is a Philadelphia no-mint mark issue in pristine condition, you could be holding a prize worth thousands, even up to $10,000. Treasure does not always hide underground. Sometimes it rests in the palm of your hand, disguised as a dollar coin, waiting for you to recognize its worth. The 1976 Bicentennial Eisenhower dollar with no mint mark is living proof of that.